share this with folks that can't be here. Once more, welcome. If you've just joined us, we're just giving people a few more minutes to log in, get settled, get their audio connected. Thank you all so much for being here.
It's really is that time of the meetings that I want something spectacular to be going on. Just, you know, just fun. Tap dancing in front of the elevator.
I would be happy to prepare something for next time.
Perfect. I'll count on that, on you for that. It's that sort of awkward moment where you don't really know I mean, for those of you who have gone through the Change Leader program, it's that moment where you're entering the space of ownership in a meeting, and it's just that time to be quiet and awkward.
You could go ahead and tap dance, Laurel. We won't mind.
You won't mind? You might actually. You might take that back. I could maybe do something else, but I can ramble awkwardly on for a while, but maybe tap dancing is not the thing you want to be seeing right now. I do have really fabulous boots on though today.
Ooh, those are fabulous, Laurel.
Those are my favorite boots that Laurel has.
That's awesome. Okay, I think we've given people enough time to get themselves on here.
Yep.
Laurel, will you go ahead and share your screen? I want to say hello, welcome. I'm Tracy Hansford. I think most of you know me. I'm the Community Programs Coordinator for the Utah Division of Arts and Museums. Jason, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Jason Bocut. I do community programs and performing arts. Laurel?
I'm Laurel Cannon Alder, and I manage the grants program that this runs through. And Tracy, do you want me to be on the website page? Is that where you want me to start?
I was just going to go ahead and share the guidelines.
Got it. Which we decided I would share by going through the website. So we'll do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So you know where we're headed. So this is our landing page, artsandmuseums.utah.gov. And this is actually located two places, but we'll drive you this way. So go to programs and then go to creative aging. And this is one of our lovely groups from last year. And this has a quick bullet to get you to the guidelines and the application.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Laurel. So our plan for today is just to kind of run through these guidelines and give you important notes, and then we'll open the floor for questions at the end. So I'm just going to start off and say that this grant is, we debated about removing the word pilot, but we're still kind of in the pilot phase of this. And it's really intended for people that have attended, or people or organizations that have attended the creative aging training from Lifetime Arts. And we're looking particularly for partnerships in order to create projects that will serve older adults with a sequential learning activity. And I'll turn it over to Jason.
So we're just going to go through some of these guidelines and read them out loud. I know it's maybe tedious because you can just read them, but we figure going through it together is going to helpfully secure it for you. So we're going to start with what this grant cannot fund. And it's going to start with intergenerational workshops. We love them. It's just not the point of this grant. and it is not connected to what we went through with Lifetime Arts. This is not about art therapy or rehabilitation, although we recognize that will be a part of the work. This is, again, with professional artists doing art for older adults. This is not multiple projects for one organization. We have a limited amount of funds, so it's one application per organization or per artist. A project that does not involve at least one individual who is trained by Lifetime Arts. So if you're an organization, ideally we want to pair organizations that were trained by Lifetime Arts and an artist that was trained by Lifetime Arts. We can be flexible with that though. If you are an organization and you have another artist you want to work with, as long as one of those went through the training, then that is acceptable to us. And this is not about one-offs. This is about a sequential class program, 6 to 8 weeks building on each other. Laurel, if you can scroll down. So who can apply? Organizations / artists that have attended one of the 3-day workshops by Lifetime Arts. Organizations, and this is where we get into the weeds of this. So this first bullet is organization and artist, both who have attended. Second bullet is organizations that have attended but choose to work with a different artist that is not. Or an artist who has attended the Lifetime Arts training and plans to work with an organization that has not attended. Our preference is to fund an organization. So if there's a compelling reason for an individual artist to put in this application, please contact us first so we can talk through it. This is for nonprofit government agencies, and for-profit businesses may apply. And again, if you're an individual wanting to apply, please reach out to us. Eligibility policies. As a pilot program, organizations that are receiving either general operating support from us or a project grant may also apply for this funding. The exception to this is if you have applied for a project grant to do creative aging work, which we applaud and we're really happy about, but that means you've already gotten your funding from us for this work. Laurel, could you scroll up a little bit? No, other direction. So thank you, eligibility process. So we restrict our funding to organizations that are based in Utah. The funding must be spent between February 1st and June 30th. That's the window in which this class must take place. And then final reports will be associated and they'll be due August 1st. So Tracy.
Sorry, we're having a lot of people having trouble getting in. So I've been troubleshooting that. 1 second.
Do you want me to keep going, Tracy, or do you want?
No, I think I'm okay now that I'm here. So the key points is that the main audience must be for adults 55 years and older. Last time we had people ask several questions about this, like, can it just be open, or could we include children or something? Please, this is really for 55 and older. That's what this is meant for. Organizations or artists may only receive funding for one project. The primary applicant of the grant should be the entity that's receiving and distributing the funding. So we can only cut one check. So if you are an artist partnering with an organization, we recommend that the organization receives the funding and then they pay you. This is really the best situation with state funding, though we're flexible about that. The grant must pay for sequential learning. We recommend a minimum of 6 and like a maximum of 10 with 45 to 90 minutes class time. If you're online, that's probably shorter. And we understand some art forms require that you sit down and have a lot of materials, and you may be doing those longer classes and fewer sessions. We're flexible. Last round, we had someone say they were going to do 4 really long classes. We talked about why that was important and we made an exception. So if your art form requires a different format, please just let us know. We recommend a class size of 10 people. This isn't required, but we are trying to emphasize that there is social engagement. People are making new friends. They're going out and doing something with other people. We're hopeful that this is the same people coming each week or whatever format you've decided upon, so they can get to know each other. And really, it's sequential learning. So they're building skills each week. The last thing is there must be a culminating event. So a party, exhibition, a performance at the end to celebrate that people have learned something new and to show off their work to their friends and family. You can use a little bit of the funding for that final event to buy like treats, but it cannot be more than 10% of your total funding. And we can't buy alcohol with state funding. It's just not okay. So please don't do that. The funding must be spent between February 1st and June 30th. We're probably going to say this a couple times, but it has to be spent before the end of our fiscal year, but not before you've received approval that you have been funded. You don't have to charge for your class, but if you do charge, we hope that you will provide some sort of scholarship or reduced fee for those who need it. We're really trying to make this accessible to everyone. And so, you know, you can charge a fee, but maybe have a sliding scale or that scholarship option. The last thing is we provide you with a survey for your older adult participants to fill out. And that's either online or a paper version. And we just ask that everybody fills this out at the end of the class or at this culminating event. And that comes back to us because that really helps us justify the work we're doing. And I think I turn it back over to Laurel or to Jason.
So at this point, what you'll see in the guidelines are all of the questions. Actually, Laurel, I think I am going to turn this over to you because this is.
I'm sorry, I messed up. It's me. Laurel, could you scroll down to the funding portion or the budget portion? So most of these questions in the application are pretty straightforward. What are you doing? What are people going to learn? You know, where is it going to take place? But the thing that might be a surprise is the budget. And if you all recently took the Lifetime Arts class, you'll remember they had suggestions for how much to pay teaching artists. As part of our requirements for the grant, we are providing a minimum amount to pay teaching artists. And let's see, there we go, thank you. So that's $30 per hour for preparation and $50 per hour for teaching minimum. It should be $600 to the artist. So as you build your budget for this program, your artist needs to provide how much time they will need to prep and how much time they will be teaching. And you need to build that into the budget based on these minimums. So I guess the other thing is that we are looking for some sort of agreement between organization and artists that lays out that both parties will understand what's going to happen and how much the artist is going to be paid. And if you need an example of like what that could be, you can reach out to me, but it can even be an email that shows both parties are in agreement. It could be a more formal MOU or a memo of understanding or a request for services or something like that, if your organization requires that. But it can be a little less formal. We just need proof that both parties understand what's happening. And now I will turn it over to Laurel.
Thanks. So one of the things I wanted to share with you is how we have this structured and how these guidelines are important to us, that you pull these guidelines up and have them at the ready when you are filling out the application. Last year, we were able to, I believe, fund all or almost all of the applications we got. It may be a little more competitive this year. So we want to have you do well with your application. And as of right now, we don't ask for you to write volumes. We just need you to communicate the basics of it. But the app are pretty consistent within our agency. We provide these guidelines that say, okay, here's what we're asking, and then what we're looking for gives you more depth to what the question is. The question may be short. Don't guess what that is. Take a look at the guidelines and see what we are looking for looks like. So I am just going to show you very quickly what it looks like to log into our grant process, and just want to make sure that you are seeing my screen still. You saw changes of screen. Okay.
Still seeing it.
Perfect. So you'll log into uamgrants.utah.gov. I've been seeing requests come in, and if you don't hear back from us, we had a little bit of a hiccup this last week in getting these set up. So if you haven't heard from us and you should have done, go ahead and drop us a note. You come to you log in, and actually, let me log back out and then we'll log in. So you come to this page. If you've forgotten your password, just trigger a new password for yourself. If you are new to our system or don't have a login, you can fill out this information. Your username is almost always your email address. If you have lots of relationships with us for some reason, and you're having trouble, again, just reach out to us and we'll figure it out. And I say us, Raquel Cornali and I work together on this, but you're welcome to just drop me an email. And this is my email address. So I'll log in, and you click on apply. And I actually opened this up right before this meeting. So it would normally look like this, where you've got a blue button. It would, but I've already opened it. So you'll see how to go back into the application. So you can edit it. You have to put information in on this front page. And then it really just takes you through. There are several tabs in the application, and you will fill out all this information. Each of the tabs, so it's overview, general information, and this general information is really just all of the basics that we need to make sure we're getting you paid. This UEI number, we are hoping that you have a UEI number. UEI stands for Unique Entity Identifier. This is a new federal requirement that replaces the DUNS number. So if you aren't sure, maybe ask your fiscal administrator if you are with a library, if you have gotten a UEI number. If you don't have it, just put a series of numbers in there. We are going to work with you on that, since it's a new requirement. And then we've got all of the rest of the questions here. The affirmations, you saw them on the guidelines. They are things that we're just saying, we want to make sure that you are fully aware that we are requiring some things. We want to make sure, as Tracy mentioned, that you're paying $30 per hour for preparation and 50 for teaching. And so we just want to make sure these are all just things that we just want to make sure you didn't miss it. I'm always a little sad when I open up our guidelines and see how long they are. These happen to be 7 pages, which is better than 10 or 15, but it's still a lot of pages of guidelines. So we just want to make sure that you're aware of the most important things. And we know that we're all busy. The budget, Tracy went over, and then when you get to the review and status, you'll see if you're not able to submit it for some reason, it will show you a list of all the things that you haven't answered. And you can see that I've answered almost nothing. And so I have X marks by everything. If it's got a little dot by it, that means it was an optional question and you didn't have to answer that. I think that's what I was supposed to cover. Anything else, Tracy or Jason?
No, that was great.
Yeah, I think that's good, Laurel.
Okay.
So at this point, we've just shared a lot of information, but we want to open it up for Q&A. So Laurel, I think if you stop sharing your screen, and
Yep.
there is a question that already is in the chat, which is the UEI for organizations, or does an artist need one?
An artist does not need one.
Laurel, I'm sorry, would you mind stopping sharing your
If I
screen?
can get my cursor to work. I had to agree to something else. So yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I do not want to share. Stop. There we go.
There we
Sorry,
go.
it took
Now
me
I
a
can
hot
see it.
minute.
So
Okay, so the answer is no. An artist does not need a UEI. Although there's another state that is requiring artists to get them. We are not requiring them.
So if people have questions, you can just raise your hand, or down at the bottom, there is a button called reactions, and there is a raise hand in there, which I've just done, so you can see.
Heather,
Heather.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice, but I'm gonna have Lacey speak for me. She's on my team here.
Gotcha.
Hey, Heather, this is Lacey. So Heather was wondering, on the artist pay rate, is that we regularly hire artists at the Kimball, and we have a certain set pay rate, and paying the amount you guys have laid out would, I think, depart from that. And so we're wondering,
Is the pay rate that you pay higher than or lower than our minimums?
I'm guessing
think-
it's lower.
Yeah, well, I think the tough part is that I'm a teaching artist and also a staff.
Right.
I don't know if that's coming through. And so my pay rate is set. And so we're wondering if there's any flexibility there. If that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It-
so
it
Heather's
does- It does
the-
make sense. I would say let's take that one offline just because
Okay.
it is an outlying question. And I'll just explain the reason behind the minimums is these minimums are at a pretty low rate actually nationally for what artists should be being paid. And so let's just take that specific question offline and reach out to Jason or Tracy and we can navigate that.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Oh. Leslie.
Let's see, Denise, Leslie, Beth. So Denise.
Okay, I have two questions. The first is, if you're driving, can we include a mileage reimbursement in the budget? And then the second question is in terms of materials, is there a reimbursement that we can include in the budget, or should we just try to have the organization order them, or how does that work?
The application, you can apply for up to $3,000 in this application. So I would say that you could include material for sure that the teaching artist would need to purchase. And mileage, I think, would also be something you can include. Just knowing that as long as you're hitting the minimums for what we are asking artists to get paid, you know, even given the context of the last conversation we had, you can then apply for, you can put thank you. So these are the things that you can include in costs: teaching fee, preparation fee, supplies, rental car, other expenses. You would just explain to us what those would be.
And
Yeah.
I just want to emphasize that, you know, as the artist, if you want to work out with the organization that you're buying the supplies and the organization reimburses you, that's great. If they prefer it the other way around, that the organization is comfortable buying the supplies, that's okay too. It should be in the budget no matter what, but just consider, you know, who is actually going to do the purchasing.
Mhm.
Right, I just wanted to clarify, because it is different. Like sometimes there is no reimbursement, so then you want to make sure that the organization purchases it, not that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And also just the clarity of the driving, because I wasn't sure about that. I mean, most times teaching artists, you are paid for reimbursement, but just to be clear, because I'm out here in the boonies.
And I think that's a really good point, that it is important to make sure that, and this could be even what you have in your communication with the organization that's sponsoring you, that you upload to our document to say, yes, this has all been agreed ahead of time. And I think the more clear you can be ahead of time, the better.
And I want to just say the application is up to $3,000. So I think if this grant might be a little more competitive than last year, I would say just be really clear about the budget numbers that you put in, and if it starts to look like people are trying to put more money in to get to the 3,000, it starts becoming something we see with ease. So just a general comment for everybody. So I think we then had Leslie and then Beth.
Yeah, so we in the past have not charged for our arts classes. We've offered free programming, and we're sort of looking at possibly charging in the future for certain classes. But I guess my question is, if depending on what we do, if we do offer this for free, are we, Laurel, I know we sort of dealt with this last time, but are we okay to open it up to our residents first? Or do we have to offer it broadly to anyone? That makes sense.
It does.
Go for it, Laurel.
I think I'll let you jump in actually, and then I'll tag team.
I can handle this. Leslie, you're welcome to open it up to your residents first, because that's your organization's mission. And if I know you often do like free for residents, small fee for non-residents, that's also fine. Again, I just want to emphasize that if you could include something like, if this is a financial burden, please reach out to us and have some sort of scholarship option. That would be great.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I would not want to see you offering this one as a freebie if you are trying to float the concept of paying, that we're, and I think this is a comment for everybody. We are anxious to work with you. We're anxious to, this is where this lies still in that land of pilot zone for us, that we want to make this as functional as possible and as inclusive as possible, but within the structures of what we know to be best practices.
Yeah, and just to be clear again, you can charge people for these classes, but I'd say just be careful again when you're putting in your budget. If we see that you're charging a lot of money for this, it makes us question why you need the grant. So just be aware of that. So Beth and then Deanna.
Hi, yes, I kind of have a double-pronged question, I guess. In my county, there isn't an organization that has gone through the training, as far as I saw on our roster. And I'm wondering, there is a nice, viable senior center, but that's a Wasatch County entity. So is a county entity like the senior center, is that considered an organization, or does that work at all? How does that work? Or, so that's my, yes?
Absolutely. We are thrilled if you work with the county senior center. Yeah.
Okay. Because they have nice programs and they have a beautiful facility. So, oh, okay. That's great. Now, okay. I'll address that maybe, another time. Okay. I'm good. Thank you then.
Thank you.
Before we go to Deanna's question, I'll just piggyback on that. If you are artists on this call and are having a hard time finding a place to do your work, or vice versa, if you're an organization on this call and are having a hard time finding an artist, we are really interested in brainstorming with you. We may be more aware, and I'm using we a little loosely, it's really Jason and Tracy will be aware of the other people who might be in the same area or might be in the same interest zone. So if you don't have something already set up, please reach out to Jason or Tracy.
Yeah. And that is also why when Tracy sends the email, she sends the entire list of everyone who's gone through the training, which I hope everyone has. Deanna.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm just curious, hi, because I work for the county library and I noticed on the list of people that have attended, there's something like 6 different people between, some of us are listed under our branches and some are listed under Salt Lake County. But when I sent sort of a preliminary request to the leadership team of the library to ask if I could apply for this grant, they were unsure. And I guess my first question is, I was under the impression when I took the training that you had given grants to the library before or awarded them, however you put it, but they acted like they had not done this before. So I was just wondering if there was a disconnect there. And number 2, when we were doing the training, someone from the county library asked if more than one branch could be awarded a grant. And I think the answer was that, yes, each branch would be treated as an individual or as an entity. But when you were talking about the unique identifier numbers, we would all have the same one because according to the little bit of information I've gotten back from leadership team, the money would have to go, like it wouldn't be awarded to Granite Branch, it would be awarded to Salt Lake County Library, and then we would get it for our program.
So
I'm gonna
Deanna,
answer
I was just going to say, I went to set you up after you called me a few minutes ago and saw that I needed to establish your branch in our system. So there hasn't been an immediate previous grant. And then Jason, I'll hand it to you to talk about our philosophy about working with libraries and how excited we are for this for libraries.
Yeah. So to answer your question, each branch can apply, even though it's under Salt Lake County and it's all going to have the UEI. As long as it's clear that it's this branch that's applying, we're going to look at that as its own organization. And then your first question, really our libraries have just gone through the training this year.
Okay.
Tracy, can I hand this to you?
Yeah, we did fund 2 libraries last round, but they were not Salt Lake County libraries.
Yeah.
So this is news to them. We would prefer to fund the library, but I think I'll just leave it at that. So I hope they will be willing to let you apply for this grant. Worst case scenario, we have committed to do this for 1 more year. So maybe you can prep them now and apply next year.
And just the UEI question, that is not an issue for us. And I can share that our sister agency is the state libraries. So we're working with them as well. And if we need to navigate something, again, offline with you and involve state libraries, this is something we've been doing in conjunction with them. So I think we should be able to find a path.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah. Terry.
That was actually for me. If we partner with county or private senior centers, aging facilities, do they have to have gone through the training as well, or?
So you're saying as a Davis Arts Council, if you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I'm going to go with no. We are looking for one party to be trained so that that party can guide make sure that you're relying on the practices that Lifetime shared. And so if you're kind of partnering with an artist and a senior center, I think that's a great collaboration. And you are the trained party and we love that.
And just so I'm clear, so So say we use one of the artists, but we are also an organization. We both can't get grants for that same project.
There
That's,
would be one grant.
that's correct.
Okay.
One grant per organization or artist. So that's the other thing. If several organizations reach out to Doug, because I know Doug did a great project, everybody did great projects last year, but if several organizations reach out to Doug and say, we want to partner with you for this project, Doug needs to pick one. And really, we're trying to spread the money out to as many artists and organizations as we can. Again, this is still a new project. We're spreading the love. So it's with a lot of good intentions. We're making that role.
Exactly.
Terry, have we answered all your questions?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just going through the chat and just, yes, Nyla, absolutely. You can work with Grantsville Library. And I see Tracy said absolutely.
If anyone needs a partnership, please email me, and it helps me if you email me your location. I know I have it, but it just saves me one step.
Let's talk timing for just a second. I know that Jason, you talked about this and it's nice and highlighted in the guidelines, but the reason on the timing is we will accept your applications. They're due December 9th, and that's a 5 p.m. application time frame. And we're not very flexible about that. Largely because it is competitive, and so we're asking everybody to adhere to that. And the system shuts down at 5 p.m. just shuts down for you. So then we have to review them, and then we have to take them to our board for approval, because every grant that we make has to be approved by our boards. And that happens in January. Then we will send out notification letters to the applicant. We only send out one notification letter. So if the organization and the artist are both on this call, whomever is actually applying, the email address that's used will get the notification. And then after that, we figure that all kind of it'll take us up to February 1st. So we can't pre-approve something, or we can't back fund something that, let's say you're doing a great project right now and you want some money towards it. We can't back fund anything. So that's why the deadline. And then we can't carry the money past the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30th. So it's kind of that's a hard and fast situation for us. But that's why the timing exists, why it's a little it's an odd little set of months. Any other questions?
We're excited to see applications from you all.
I was going to say, I hope you all see that we are here to help. We really want this to be a successful project. This is work we believe in. We feel really passionate about it, each of us, and we're really excited to be supporting it.
The grant we ran last year, there were incredible results from the work. And it was so exciting for us to read the surveys and to see the impact. For those of you who are new and feel like this is a lot of work, it really is worth it. And we're going to be running the grant again next year. This was a 3-year pilot. And we're hoping that after next year, it just becomes part of your regular work, and that can find, funding sources within your budgets. If there's no other questions, then I think we're going to say thank you for taking the time. Please reach out to us. You should have our contact information if you have specific questions. Beth, I'm going to prod you just once more. You had a question that you were thinking of asking. Do you want to just ask it just in case? You're muted, Beth. You're muted.
I think I'm good. I think it's been answered, and but thank you for asking and following up.
You got it.
All right. Thank you all.